think we should just start this video with just a nice deep breath. I think a lot of us could probably use that right about now. So letting go, letting go, letting go. Hello my love, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Haley and I help people recognize their full potential by exploring all aspects of the mind-body connection. I have been really called to make this video today because I know that I am not the only person out there that struggles with anxiety. I know that I am not alone in that, and I want you to know that you are not alone in that either. So I'm going to be kind of sharing my opinion on anxiety today and how I deal with it, how I'm able to get myself out of it when I feel it come up, because yes, as you know, as spiritual beings, as people who are attuned to ourselves and our own tendencies and that have self-awareness, like, we have systems in place that allow us to cope with these things when they come up, right? But I think it's also important to remember that we're all human, and it doesn't even matter how woke you are spiritually or how ascended you are in terms of consciousness, right? We all experience these human emotions, and it's a part of the human experience. And the more we try to run away from it and pretend it's not there, the worse it actually gets. So before I even dive into anything about it today, I want you to know that you're a human being. I'm a human being. We are all humans here on this earthly plane for this human experience, and anxiety is one of those things that is a part of the human experience. For some of us, more so than others, but for me, I've found, throughout my life, that that's something that I tend to struggle with. And it doesn't matter, like I said, how woke you are. It'll come up here and there, and it's totally fine. And I think the first step in accepting it is acknowledging that it's there, right? Is having the awareness to know that that's what you're experiencing. So aside from calming tea, which I love to make myself a calming tea if I'm feeling anxious, also, can we talk about how cute this mug is? Oh my god! I got this mug on Amazon. I will try to put it in my description down below so you guys can get it, but it's literally the cutest mug on the face of the planet, and it comes with a little lotus flower spoon that you can stir. That's not here today, but it's the cutest freaking mug. But I actually have some bedtime tea right now because I was feeling so anxious today, and I'm actually going to put this down for a second because self-awareness is so powerful. And if you're someone who is just, starting your path of spirituality, or even just starting your path of mindfulness and self-awareness, think about like a version of you that maybe wouldn't even be aware that you're experiencing anxiety. Like, if you're watching this video right now, you have enough self-awareness to know when you're anxious. I would bet you anything that you have enough self-awareness to recognize that within yourself. And that's something for myself that I didn't have for years. I didn't even really know like what I was experiencing, and I didn't even know how to deal with it. It's made me not even want to put myself out there or to try new things. And I have enough self-awareness now to recognize that I have been feeling extremely anxious the last few weeks. And for all of us, it manifests differently. And this is something that I would posit to you to try to figure out is, how does anxiety feel for you? Because I've always wondered how anxiety feels for other people, but I actually feel it manifest in different places in my body, and I know exactly what it feels like, and I know that that's my sign to myself that, okay, like, I'm feeling anxious, I need to address this. And for me, it's usually like my gut, my stomach. I feel like that butterflies in my stomach sensation, and I also feel energy in the palms of my hands, and it feels like how you feel butterflies in your stomach, but I feel it in my hands. And I know that that sounds really weird, and I actually am so curious if anyone else out there has the same signalings of their own body to tell them that they're feeling anxious. But those are my like physicality, like my 3D body. That's how my body lets me know that I'm anxious. It sucks. Like, anxiety sucks. There's really no getting around it. But I have learned some things throughout my journey that have helped me tremendously. And if I could do even the smallest bit of help to you watching this video, you probably clicked on this video if you're feeling anxious. And I want you to know that I know exactly how you feel. And these are some things that have helped me in my experience. Now, I'm not a licensed professional. I'm not a therapist by any means, but I'm just providing a little bit of insight from a spiritual perspective as to how you can navigate anxiety and learn from it. And the first thing that I will say to you is that acceptance is key. Acceptance is everything. So fully accepting yourself for who you are as you are. And this kind of coincides into a whole nother tangent of accepting your shadow and embracing your shadow self. But for a lot of us, anxiety could be considered a part of the shadow self, right? It's a part of ourselves that we don't really want to face. It's a part of ourselves that we don't want to acknowledge or even speak about to other people. I feel like even society still has this sort of, stigma around people talking about things that they're suffering with on their own. And I think anxiety is one of those things that a lot of us are still for some reason not even comfortable to talk about, but yet so many of us experience it. Really doesn't make any sense, right? The reason I bring this up is because if you cannot accept every part of yourself, then you're only holding yourself back, right? If I were to throw away every part of my shadow self, every part of my shadow that I don't want to face, that I don't want to deal with, if I were to just disintegrate that, I would be hindering my own spiritual growth and I would be standing in my own way. And the same thing goes for anxiety. If I were to try to suppress it, push it away, pretend it wasn't there, it's only going to hold me back. And a friend of mine once told me, and this is something that stuck with me for the longest time, that if you suppress things, right, you suppress emotion, you suppress feeling anxious, you become depressed. And that's because everything is energy. Emotion is energy in motion. So when you aren't expressing that energy, when you aren't expressing that emotion, your body is storing it, it's holding on to it, and it's not going to have any way to release it. And that's why, when people go about their daily lives, they're feeling anxious, they don't tell anyone about it, they push it away, they pretend it's not there, they distract themselves by consuming things, maybe consuming alcohol, TV, sex, like whatever it might be, to distract themselves from feeling it. That doesn't mean that the feeling has gone away. It just means that you're suppressing it. And it's almost like you're clearing out one drawer in a filing cabinet, so that drawer is completely clear, and you're just shoving all of that junk into a different drawer that you're gonna have to deal with at a later date, whether you like it or not. You're basically, when you're suppressing emotions or you're suppressing how you're feeling, you're postponing you dealing with the inner work that needs to be done and pushing it to a later date, and there's really no escaping it. If you truly want to grow and if you truly want to evolve and become more self-aware, there is no escaping the inner work, and there is no escaping the parts of your shadow self or the parts of yourself that you might not be so happy to admit that you're feeling. And for a lot of us, like I said, anxiety is a big part of that. So the first thing that helps me is accepting it. Like I literally said earlier today, you know what? I'm feeling anxious. I also want to just put a tangent in here because this is something else about anxiety that a lot of people I think overlook, but from my perspective of what I've learned on my journey, this is absolutely essential. People don't talk about the power of words and how our words are spells, right? And words are vibration, they're energy, and that's why every single word we say carries a meaning to it and carries an energetic connection to it. So listen very carefully to what I'm about to say. I am feeling very anxious today. I'm feeling very anxious. I was feeling very anxious this morning. That's the first phrase, right? As opposed to this one, which we want to get rid of, which I'll explain to you in a second. I'm anxious. I'm super anxious today. I was super anxious this morning. There's a very distinct difference between these two phrases, but it makes the world's difference when it comes to your vibration and your energy. When you say, I am feeling anxious, you're acknowledging that that emotion is there. You're acknowledging that that feeling and that energy is there, but you're not attaching it to your identity. And that's why we want to do away with saying, I'm anxious, or I'm so anxious, I was anxious, because when you say that, I am, you're attaching that thing to your identity. You're attaching that thing to the very existence of you. So why would you attach something that's negative, that's low vibrational, to your identity at a core, when you could simply just acknowledge that it's there and not attach it to yourself entirely? That's the difference between saying, I'm feeling anxious and saying I am anxious. And it's a huge difference. I know it sounds really small in the grand scheme of things, but this is the kind of energetic stuff that matters, and it's not woo-woo, it's not crazy. If you look at the works of Einstein, Tesla, Tesla said himself, if you want to learn the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And like I said, words are vibrations, so be very mindful of how you're speaking to yourself about yourself, and also how you're speaking to other people about yourself. I will literally catch myself sometimes if I'm feeling this way, and I'll say, ooh, let me bite my tongue. I don't mean to say I'm anxious, I mean to say I'm feeling anxious, because there's such an energetic difference between the two, and the sooner that you allow yourself to kind of step into that state of acknowledging that something is there rather than having it become a part of your identity, that's how you're able to actually work through things a lot quicker. And this is something that takes time, right? Like, this isn't something that's going to happen overnight. It's something that you really need to become very much aware of. Over time, you'll become aware of it. Just think about how you have that little internal dialogue in your head. We all have that, although actually some of us may not have it. I've heard some people say that some people don't have that little voice in their head, which I find really curious. I wonder what that's like. I really don't know. If you're one of those people that doesn't have that little internal dialogue in your head, can you leave a comment? Because I'm genuinely curious what that would be like, because the voice in my head is just yapping nonstop. Become mindful of that. Like, in the smallest of ways that you speak to yourself. Like, if you're, for example, if you're somebody else that was feeling anxious, like, what are you saying to yourself in your head? Are you trying to run away from yourself? Are you trying to pretend that it's not there? Or are you saying, you know what, this is here now. Let me deal with this. Let me see how I can move forward with this. Let me see how I can integrate this part of myself with love and light and acceptance so that I can get back to the vibration, back to the set point that I want to be at. That's the game changer. That's the game changer that will take you from here to here in terms of your vibration set point and your level of consciousness, because so many people aren't paying attention to this. Think about the people in your life. I guarantee you, most people aren't even thinking about their internal dialogue or how they're speaking to themselves, especially when they're feeling something like anxiety. And I don't think enough people talk about it. The other thing too that I've realized is that, you know, for me, I always try to like get to the root of what is causing something. I'm very analytical in that way. I like to trace things back to their origins. Even with my dream, I will, like my dreams at night, I will have my dream journal and I'll write down, you know, what my dream was about, or I'll even just think about it. And then I think back to the day before and I'm like, what did I watch on TV? What did I think about that day that would have planted something in my subconscious mind for me to have a dream about it? Like, that's how much I like to get to the root of things and really understand things. And with anxiety, you know, when I'm feeling that way, I like to kind of take a step back and say, okay, what exactly is it that's making me feel this way? And even just having that self-awareness and taking that step back, you can probably hear my dog barking, even just taking that step back to think, okay, why am I feeling this? What's coming up for me right now? What is triggering this feeling for me to be feeling this in my body, for me to be feeling this in my energy? That, for me at least, helps me kind of root myself in the moment a little bit more. And I think a big part of feeling anxious and having anxiety is being ungrounded, right? Is being so removed from the present moment because you're either dwelling on the past or you're worried about the future, or your mind is going to a bazillion different places that are everything other than the moment that's right in front of you. At least in my experience, that's what anxiety comes from. And then I try to take it a step further. I'm like, okay, well, what is it that I'm dwelling over in my past that's setting me off in this way? What is it that I'm worried about in the future that I haven't even had the opportunity to enter into my life yet, that I haven't even crossed that bridge yet? What is it that's making me so upset? And take a moment to sit with yourself. Take a second to think about it. That's a great journaling prompt. If you're ever feeling anxious and you really want to work through this and integrate the anxiety and allow yourself to move past it, take a second and think about that. What is setting this off? Because usually when we're feeling anxious, it's not anything that's happening directly in front of us. I mean, it can be, obviously, but for the most part, I think it's because we're so wrapped up in our heads and we're so in our heads as humans that we go to that, right? There's no other species of animal, as far as I'm concerned, that has the capacity to dwell on the past or to think about the future as much as we can. Which is a blessing and a curse, right? It's a gift, but it's also a hindrance because we spend so much time up in our heads and we spend so much time removed from our bodies and from the moment that it leads us to feeling this way. Taking that time to really kind of like address the root cause of it is super transformative, and it's something that's been tremendously helpful for me. And I'll offer something else up for you guys, you know, that helps me with anxiety. And as I mentioned earlier, emotion is energy in motion, right? And when we're feeling something like anxiety that we feel so viscerally, right? It's like your whole body feels it. You want to just pace all over the place. You feel this sense of panic. You don't even know what to do with yourself. That is your body's way of telling you that you have energy that needs to be released. Like, you need to express it, right? It's energy in motion. That's what emotion is. You need to release the emotion from your body so that your cells don't store it, so that you don't absorb it, so that you don't suppress it, like we talked about earlier. So move your body. Movement is medicine. I'm not saying you have to go run a marathon. I'm not saying you gotta, lift 500 pounds. Get your body moving. Dance around your bedroom. Who cares, right? Who cares? Nobody's looking at you. If you want to go for a run, go for a run. Go for a walk. Like, twirl around your house. Do some skips. Do some hopscotch. Like, dance. I don't care what it is. Do some yoga. Move your body. That is how the energy is going to move through you, and you're going to be able to actually release it better if you allow your body to move. I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but my if I'm feeling anxious, it feels 1,000 times worse if I'm just sitting in a position or I'm laying down, because I just feel like I have to move my body. Like for me, that is my way that I cope with feeling anxious, is moving my body. So I love to exercise. Like I'm exercising tonight and I'm so looking forward to it because it's a way for me to release my anxiety. And also talking to you guys. Like I know it sounds crazy, but just expressing yourself. Speak about it. Don't hold it all in. Do not feel like it is your burden to keep everything to yourself. Don't get it twisted. Do not feel like you have to bury things down. You have to pretend that they're not there and you gotta just put on a pretty face and face the world. No. Okay? That is so not true, and that's a really old system of living and of being, and I think it's so important for us to recognize, not only for ourselves, but also for our friends and for our family, that like you need to express things. You have to release them and let them go, and that's not to say like make your friend, your neighbor, your punching bag and just like dump all of your drama onto them or whatever, but release it from your body in whatever way resonates with you. If it's movement, if it's talking like what I'm doing right now, even me sitting here talking like this has helped me feel a lot better. You know, it's finding things that resonate with you and finding things that work for you and your body and your set point. And everyone's different. There's no right or wrong way to do this, but I'm just telling you the things in my life that have helped me navigate feeling anxious. And one of the biggest things, like I said, was reframing my internal dialogue and stepping away from wanting to just say, I'm anxious. Take that out of your vocabulary right now. If you're listening to this, if you're watching, no more saying that. The next time you feel anxious, just say, I'm feeling anxious. Simple little switch, but it makes the world's difference. But that is all I have for you tonight, my love. I am sending you so much love and light, health, wealth, success, happiness, abundance, peace, love, joy, opportunity, hope, balance. I'm sending it all your way, and I'm certainly hoping that you are feeling so much better after watching this video. I'm sending you healing energy. Remember that the world is your oyster, that you are more powerful than you think, okay? I love you, and I will see you next time. Bye.